Thursday, November 13th, Bitcoin at 99,900. Strategy closed at 208.5. First, let's talk Bitcoin. If you guys saw my earlier update this week, my prediction was that Bitcoin would put in the low this week with a slightly lower low than what we saw last week. That was just from pattern analysis. The moving averages on my charts, I have the blue line, which is the 200-day moving average, the white line, which is the 21-week in this case, because I'm on the weekly time frame, and the pink is the 50-week. All right, and every time, I mentioned this in the last video, that the white line crosses down through the blue, basically the following week, the low tends to be put in. Okay, you can see an example of it there. You can see another example of it right here, where it crosses down and then the next week the low is in. And so far, if we don't put in a lower low, we had the cross last week and then the low being put in and tagging the bottom of the flag this week. I mean, so far, so good. I basically was off by about $100 in my prediction of Bitcoin's low. MSTR sold off with Bitcoin as expected, a little bit lower than I thought it would go, but I will try to reconcile that in this video. Just to zoom out, a quick reminder, like I'm here for the Bitcoin breakout on the log chart. That's what you see behind me. You can see, so you don't have to take me at my word, I labeled how hard Bitcoin runs. And by the way, in those labels, like you can see this first one, 1,670%, 13 weeks. Level 2, 310%. That's a 4x in 4 weeks. Level 3, that was 2017. 650% in 29 weeks. By the way, that's not measured from here. It's literally measured from the breakout. So it's just assuming that you bought the breakout. So I'm not cheating in these measurements, so you know. So 650%. If you bought down here on the back test of this level, you did significantly better. And there were ways to detect that. Honestly, my favorite way is when the, well, it's not actually illustrated here because I have this on monthly time frame, but basically right around here, the 21 weekly EMA, the line that I just said crossed down through the 200 that I was showing you over here, it crossed up through the 200-day moving average. Sorry if you can hear my dog in the background. Anyways, level 4, 275%, almost a 4x in 22 weeks. And then look where we are now, still within striking distance of another log chart breakout. I know it's sacrilegious to be bullish on Bitcoin on a red day, but you guys know me by now. That's like my brand. You know what I mean? I'm still optimistic, especially with this price action. I feel like being pretty predictable. I mean, even look at the weekly candle. It started right on the 50% line of the channel, tags the bottom. If it reverses higher, I don't know how many of you guys are going to be surprised. I personally would not be if that happened. You know, and again, what I'm really here for is this breakout. That breakout to the upside, Bitcoin, in my opinion, I think is destined for about 350,000, like as like a realistic target. That's not like the high end or the low end. I think that's like the middle end for me personally. It wouldn't surprise me if it ran all through next year. Oh wait, that's bullish though. I'm not allowed to say anything bullish when we're selling off. That's still where my head's at. I don't think it's invalidated yet. MSTR. So it sold off a little bit lower than I expected. I want to credit somebody in my community, actually. Let me switch this to the log scale, and I'm on the monthly time frame. Someone else in my community actually came up with this idea, and I really like it. So if you measure from the all-time low, MSTR's all-time low, okay? That was down at, you know, after a split, 42 cents, and that was in July 2002. And do a fib retrace to the top from November of 2024. What you get is you get a very clean tag of the 618 fib on today's pullback. I mean, it literally closed pennies off of that fib. And there's also a chance that I just didn't draw it pixel perfect. So I know some people say like, well, why does that matter? That was back before it was a Bitcoin treasury. It's one of these things where it's like, if you don't want to believe it matters, I don't care to try to convince you, but like TradingView is here for everybody to use. Just jump in there and you'll notice that like the algorithms that dictate price action on a, you know, high time frame, they do respect the levels that were in place from the price action from, you know, 20 years ago, 25 years ago. This all factors in. I've shown it on another chart, honestly. I've shown it on, I think it was this chart that I'm going to show you real quick. Actually, I have it open on this tab. Yeah, so this chart, I was calling this the 24-year chart because it goes back to the IPO right here in 1998. But when we broke into this channel right here in December of 2000, we chopped around for 24 years. Then we popped that back above, and now I called it a back test, although we're back inside the channel. That's not good, right? Like the monthly close for November, if it closes back inside this channel, to me, that would be very bearish, right? Even the weekly close, if I switch this to weekly time frame, like we haven't had a weekly close inside of this channel, which also makes me think that tomorrow could be another big Friday that pulls us back out. If that was the case, we should be talking about a potential like short-term reversal, at least like a bear market rally. I mean, we're under a declining 200-day moving average. So I'm not stupid, guys. Like I get it. Like I've never, hopefully you don't think I've misled you into being like, yes, it's bullish context. No, when we're under the 200-day moving average, not great. When it's rolling over, also not great, right? Because that means now we have to fight to change the trend on the high time frame. Like, but it would really look great if we could somehow rally hard tomorrow, even though it's, 1 day left, one trading day, and get back above 243. That would be insane, but we saw a 10% move last Friday. If you're irresponsibly long MSTR like I am, how much would it be worth to you to have somebody who's in the charts daily looking for the perfect entry for shares and options, and eventually looking to see if we might have topped and it's time to take profits? If this is something that interests you, I want to invite you to check out my MSTR Generational Wealth community linked below.